Two. All right, we are live. Welcome to Hyperspace Heroes for one last episode of Scruffy and DB Unplugged. As we know, Brown Leader is still on sabbatical, and I'll let him tell you about everybody about where he was over the week because DB and I here are super jealous.
Yeah, jealous is not the word for it.
Well, we're not amused, but it is what it is. We're glad he's getting his much needed vacation, and that we're stuck at home in the snow, in the cold, still going to work.
Yes, sir. Is it time to start the show?
It's time to start the show. Here we go.
Podcasting, the final audio frontier. These are the legends of Brown Squadron.
Our computer is picking up a strange signal. Here, sir, you better take a look at it.
The ongoing mission? To explore the Star Wars universe and other nerd culture topics. To seek new content and new cantinas, bars, and lounges. To boldly annoy Scruffy by making too many bad jokes. Welcome to the Hyperspace Heroes Podcast.
All right. Are you ready to do this, DB?
Yeah. Do we even need to report in? I mean, Brown Leader's not here.
Well, okay, we should report in. This is Brown 2 reporting in. Who do we have here today?
Just Brown 4, apparently, but we have a special guest, don't we?
Yes, we do. Today we have a special guest, Mr. Scott Baker with 2D Heroes.
Hey, Scott.
Hey, how are you guys?
Good. How are you, sir?
Good.
You are
Welcome.
live all over the internet.
I try to be.
Yeah, close to all over the internet.
Yeah, I try to be.
Great to have you on the show today, sir.
I appreciate you guys having me.
So Scott Baker is the man behind My 2D Heroes. And
Yes.
right there is Mr. Scott's info there. And so Scott, you create the closest things, at least to him, that DB and I will ever have to owning a life-size droid. But before we go there, we just got a couple of questions that we ask all of our guests.
Sure.
So start off. What does Star Wars mean to you, sir?
Oh, jeez.
Nothing. Yeah.
What an easy
No
question
pressure,
to start
no
out with. I mean, it's everything. It's everything to me. It's it's been a part of my life since I can remember. And, it's just one of those things with what I do now. I feel like I'm doing exactly what I was put on this earth to do. And Star Wars is pretty much every part of my life. It's, it got me to where I am, doing the stuff that I do. And, to actually say it's part of my life and it helps, it helps bring money in is something astounding to me, that I can mix that part of my life and actually make it part of my job. And, Star Wars has been everything to me. So, my first memory of it is I remember my parents taking me to go see it. And when the scroll started, I couldn't read it that fast. So I had my mom whispering it in my ear. And I remember that like it was yesterday. And I was one of the lucky kids. My grandmother worked at Kenner.
No way.
No way.
Yeah, she did. And so it was just awesome. It was everything. I just remember going, Grandma, I need a stormtrooper. And she'd come home with a box of 20 of them.
Oh, my.
Yeah. I mean, it was fantastic. Christmases were great. I remember getting my Jawa Sandcrawler, my Millennium Falcon, all that stuff, man. I just,
man.
Every Christmas. And then, as I got older, I got out of it a little bit. And then for I believe my 50th birthday, my wife got me the Luke Skywalker X-Wing helmet. And that just, and that started me getting back into it, pulling out all my toys, setting them up, displaying them. and that's pretty much how I got it back into it. So it's been a big part of my life. Just always has been, always will be.
So that was our second question. What was your first Star Wars memory? And yeah, you kind of blew that out of the park there.
Yeah, isn't that amazing how that's just burned into your head, that memory?
It was funny because we saw it on a Friday night, and my dad woke us up Saturday morning to take us back.
Oh wow!
So we saw it in the theaters probably 20 times.
Wow!
And so there was a theater where we lived that played it nonstop for like a year, and we would just go all the time.
That's awesome. I remember only seeing A New Hope at a drive-in one time, but
Yeah.
I know my mother is a huge Star Wars fan, and we must have seen Empire Strikes Back probably 10 times. And I know she took us to see Return of the Jedi probably 20 times.
Yeah, we were watching Freaky Friday with Jodie Foster on The Wonderful World of Disney the night we went to go see Empire Strikes Back.
Funny thing, let me tell you my Empire story. My family was on vacation in a different state, and we had gone into a store or a mall or something, and there was the novelization of Empire, and my mom let me buy it.
Oh, you didn't read it, did you?
Well, I was 10, so I couldn't read that fast, but I was allowed to purchase it. And I told my mom, I said, well, this movie hit theaters today. And she says, no, it's Wednesday. Movies don't come out on Wednesdays. Well, it did. And I had to wait 3 more days until we were home from vacation before I could actually see it in the theaters. Oh, man, you are lucky.
Yeah, I had a great childhood, man. It was Star Wars all day long.
Yeah, you're living. I think everybody's dream. You had a family member work for Kenner, and you took Star Wars and turned it into a revenue and income.
Yeah, I mean that's essentially how it worked out. And trust me, it surprises me every day, and it humbles me every day that people buy the stuff that I make and the stuff that I enjoy doing. It's so weird to me that people like the stuff that I do, and it was all a complete accident. I never was like, you know what, I'm going to put this stuff on corrugated plastic and cut it out, and everybody will love it.
Well, how did you start that off? Tell us the history.
So I was trying to do T-shirts, and so I started drawing the figures. So I started with Farm Boy Luke, and then I was like, well, you know, what'd be cool is if I did the early bird special. So I wound up doing Leia, Chewie, and R2, and then I put them in. I did a background of the early bird special, and I thought that was a cool shirt. And then I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to do this, I might as well do the first 12 and put them in the gray, in the gray case. And so I wound up doing that. And then I was like, well, I did this. I got to do the next 12. Let's go ahead and finish it off. And so by the time I did all that, I do graphic design and printing as my normal 9 to 5. And I was doing some senior big head cutouts, like for football teams for high school.
Okay. Yeah.
And I had a little extra space on the board, and I looked up to see how tall R2-D2 was because I didn't know. And so it said he was 42 inches. I was like, cool. So I took the drawing that I made from the T-shirt and put it on that board and cut it out. And I looked at it and I'm like, this is really cool. What am I going to do with this? So I threw it in the back of my van for a week. And then a couple weeks later, I had some space and I did R5-D4 and a Jawa. And I got those and I lined them all up, took a picture of it, threw it up on the IC, and did almost $3,000 in sales that night.
Wow!
Yeah,
in one day.
In one day, and but everybody's like, "Well, do you have this? Do you have this? Do you have?" And I had them all because I was drawing them. So once I had it drawn, it's easy to blow it up and put it on a board and cut it out. So it was just like I just kind of slid right in there, and then one day I was like, it'd be cool. A lot of people can't carry all this stuff home. I should do magnets. And so we threw some magnet material on, did a test, and it turned out great. And that's where the magnets came from.
Hey, I got to say, the first thing I ever bought from you was, I think I bought 3 Boba Fett magnets for our team.
You did. And he's still in the same spot.
Yeah, it's still up on my desk at work.
Yeah, I just love it, man. I love doing it, and I am so happy that other people enjoy it. And
Now,
the
do you
fact
still
that-
do the shirts, or did you just kind of move away from that? Oh, look at he's wearing one.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
So yeah, I still do the shirts occasionally. They're not as big of a revenue stream as some of the other stuff that I do, but not like I'm sitting here making millions of dollars. I'm not, but I'm making enough to, we can take a decent vacation and pay some bills and, just have some fun. It's all about having fun for me.
That's right. That's what it's all about, man. If you're paying some bills and having some fun, it works.
And it actually helped rebuild my collection. So that's another reason why I love it as much as I do.
And how many cool cons do you get to go to sell your product? I mean,
wow.
wow.
I go to probably about maybe 8 or 10 a year.
Wow.
I go as far as Chicago. I go to the Kane Toy Show.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And I really need to stretch out, but man, it's hard to drive.
Oh, yeah.
So, but we did, the first year I was doing this, we did ICC, and it was crazy fun. It was crazy fun. I think I met you guys at the last one, I believe.
We went in 22 and
22.
23.
23. It was the new venue in 23, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, I think that's where I probably met you in 22, but
Yep.
Yep, I remember you in 22.
And I'm horrible at names. I hate it. It's like everybody knows me, and I know select few, and they're like, "Oh, well, you talk to me," and I'm like, "I'm sorry."
I know when you see thousands of people, we won't take personally.
Yeah, I had the same problem. I tell everybody, I don't remember what I had for breakfast this morning, let alone what happened last year. Okay, so
right, and I try to remember as many people as I can, but it happens.
Absolutely. So your grandmother worked for Kenner?
Yes.
What did she do there?
She was a line operator, so she built some of the toys, and some of it I don't remember a lot of it, but I knew she worked there, and I never really got a chance to go over there. But anytime I asked for something, she'd always bring it home.
And that blows my mind.
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time wrapping my brain around that.
Well, as a kid, I didn't really think much of it when I was a kid. I was just like, hey, I'll ask Grandma. Grandma can do that.
It was Grandma's job, huh?
Yeah.
As a kid, that was my dream.
Oh,
I wanted to know somebody worked at Kenner.
She had every toy catalog from like 1980. Those Kenner toy catalogs that you flip through. She had every one of those, and it's funny because one of my buddies who is a Star Wars fan, and him and I have nerded out for close to 40 years now. And I saw him, I think it was back in October. I stay at his house when I go do the Xenia Toy Show, the Great Ohio Toy Show. And he's like, here, I think this is yours. He said, it's been with me forever. And it was the 1983 Kenner catalog.
Oh,
because
wow.
I don't know where else I would have got it from. It has to be yours. And I was like, you know what? I think it is, because I remember the day I took it over to your house.
Wow. Oh, that is awesome.
It's been fun. And my grandmother, she saved us. She saved me and my brother. She saved us both the first 12 in the packs.
No.
Yeah. So I got mine, and then I got married, and I was just starting out my business, and I really needed the money. So I sold mine, unfortunately. And then my brother passed in 2001, and we were sitting over at my mom and dad's house, and my dad's like, well, I'm going to sell these. I'm like, the hell you are? Those are down in my house. So those are mine. I'm taking those. And he's like, well, okay, don't sell them. I'm like, don't worry. So I got those in October of 21. And then, of course, March of 2022, we had a fire, and I lost them all. Yeah. And it wasn't even the value of it. I never looked at it like that. I always looked at it and remembered my grandmother and my brother, because they were his, and it always brought back all those memories. So it was never a monetary value for me. It was more, I just walk in my living room and turn on the light that I had in the cabinet and just look at my toys, because I loved them that much. And I had a nice little collection. It wasn't bad, but having those original 12, my brother-in-law walked in, he goes, wow, are those fake? I'm like, no, those are the real deal. Hey guys, let me tell you, they were gorgeous. They were beautiful. Beautiful. They all would have easily 80 to 90 would have graded.
Wow.
They were
Wow.
just gorgeous. And then I was looking at it one day and I had 2 Darth Vaders and no Sand Trooper. So my grandmother actually got me 2 Darth Vaders and not a Sand Trooper. So when we lost everything in the fire, my daughter's like, Dad, are you going to buy those again? I was like, sweetheart, I love them. I would love to buy them again, but it just would not be the same. And it actually gives me a little bit of peace of mind knowing that they don't exist, that nobody else owns them. You know, they're just gone. You know,
Right.
and so I didn't sell them, but you know, that's just it was hard for me getting over that part, was the connection, just being able to see part of my brother and part of my grandmother in that. But I've come to terms with it. It's not that, it is what it is. You know, we've moved on. I've met a lot of people because of it, and I wouldn't change anything.
Now you have, and I know this will hit home for Scruffy too. You have a gunk that survived the fire, correct?
Yes, I do. And that was
Yeah.
so much fun. Unfortunately, he's in storage. He's not here. But yeah, we were walking around after the fire and I just looked down and Gonk was just sitting there. I'm like, holy shit. And I picked it up and he was deformed and all ashy. And but I was like, he survived. We got to see. So I posted it up and said, this is Flames. He's a survivor and he's kind of taken on a world of his own. So
That's awesome.
I've been talking to CAS for about a year and they're like, no, we're not going to grade that. Well, then I met Chris down at ICC and he's like, well, why wouldn't we grade it? I said, I don't know. Your people said they weren't going to grade it. He's like, just bring it in. I'll take care of it. So he graded it last year and I did a big opening and he turned out to grade at, I thought he was going to grade it a 4, but he actually graded it a 10. But he's very cool, and I'm happy I did it because, it was just something. I didn't care what grade he got. It was just being able to preserve him, and he's going to be a big part of my collection once we get the house back.
And was he the only survivor of the fire?
There were some scragglers up in the attic that were burnt. Like this little guy here, he was a survivor, and you can see the burn on the back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but
I had a big bag.
terrible.
I had a big bag of them that were shorter because the heat just shrank them.
Right.
But there were a few other survivors, but not like him. He was actually in the room where the fire started.
Oh wow.
And so that's what kind of set him apart. But he's awesome. He's awesome. I can't wait to get my house back to put my collection back together because I've got more stuff now than I think I have. And I'm actually at the point where I'm like, okay, do I buy this because I don't know if I have it or not?
No, we know that.
Yeah, we yeah. Sadly, we know how that is.
So this should have been the first question we asked, but
sure,
all humans survived the fire, correct?
Yes.
The family's good. All right.
The family was good. I might tear up on this part a little bit, but my son actually showed up at the house. We were up the street at the store. It was my daughter's birthday, actually.
Oh.
As weird as that is. So my son walked into the house like nothing. And apparently he walked into the kitchen and saw the flames. Well, we had 3 dogs in the house and he was trying to find them. So he was running around trying to find the dogs. And he said he started to go upstairs and the smoke was just too thick. So he started to come back down. And had he went upstairs, nobody knew he was there.
Oh.
And he would not have come back out. So,
oh wow,
that's the part that kind of stuck with me the most.
Yeah.
But yeah, everybody's fine.
Him.
We lost 3 dogs in the fire.
Oh.
3 dogs, 2 lizards, a bird. No, we got both cats out. So yeah, it was a little rough. And
that would be tough, man. That would be tough.
I don't know. We were kind of, I joke a lot because that's how I kind of get through things. And my daughter and I are in the backyard of the house, watching the house smolder. And I look at my daughter and went, "Happy birthday, blow your house out." And that's one of those things that stick with us. So But yeah, it was a traumatic experience. It really was.
So,
And,
what's more expensive, rebuilding a house or rebuilding a Star Wars toy collection?
oh, don't get me going on the house.
I can
Do not
only
go
I
there.
can only imagine.
It has been a nightmare trying to get that house rebuilt.
Mm.
I mean, we're a month away from our 2-year anniversary, and we've been living in a camper in front of the house for 2 years.
Oh my!
With me, my wife, my daughter, my son's now down at school, so he's kind of not there. He's there on the weekends, and 3 dogs and a cat, and it's a
Wow.
little.
Wow!
Wow.
And yet
So-
you're still so good natured and still produce these awesome products for other nerds.
Yes, yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of the people I've met, because as soon as the fire was going on, I posted about it, and everybody in the Star Wars community was just like, here, take this. And I had a hard time taking it because, somebody else's collection, and I don't want you guys to feel guilty for me because, I lost the stuff that I lost. So it was very hard for me to accept that stuff. When then my wife looked at me and she goes, no, people just want to feel like they're helping you. Just let them do
Absolutely.
Yeah.
it. And so I finally broke down and said, okay. And I got a ton of stuff from just people, and it was fun to go down to the conventions because the people knew my story, and there were people who brought me to the side and prayed with me. We prayed over the house, prayed over my family, and just people just, hey, how's everything? The Star Wars community is fantastic when it comes to stuff like that. I mean, everybody knows everybody. It's just a big family kind of a thing because you all bond over this one thing and you all speak the same language, but you couldn't be any different in life as to what you do and the things that you like. But the Star Wars is what brings everybody together. And that's what I love doing the cons because of that, especially ICC. It's like you're going to a family reunion.
Yeah.
And
we
everybody
got
knows
hooked
you.
within minutes of going to the ICC.
Right. And those guys have been fantastic too. And so I cannot thank everybody enough for what they've done for me and my family. And it's just been, it's been a hell of a ride. Other than not being back in my house, it's probably one of the best things that happened to me because I got to meet so many people that I never would have. And so it's hard to judge, would I rather keep my house and my stuff or, so you don't know how life plays out. So it's just kind of the hand we're dealt. And, after the fire, I went to work the next day, and one of the guys at work was, he's like, what are you doing here? I'm like, what am I supposed to do? I mean, my house is gone. There's nothing I can do there. And other than just sit around and mope, I just decided to come into work.
Or I can come to work and make money and start rebuilding this. Man.
Right. So it's been hard. I ain't going to say it has been easy. It's been hard, but we're getting through it. And it's just, I would much rather be in my house,
Oh, absolutely.
The games last week and really kind of watching the football games, I was really missing my house a lot on Sunday, but
this is a good place for me to do this, Scott. I'm wearing my Detroit Lions shirt.
There you go. Yep.
Because you posted something about moving to the other end of the couch, and it's your fault. And I almost disinvited you from being on the show tonight.
I couldn't help it. I was like, I'm sitting there watching the game, and so we had a couch that we bought at our first house that came out to the second house that burnt down. And we loved the couch. So one day my wife calls me and says, hey, there's a couch on this website, on this auction site. And I'm like, well, let's get it. I mean, it was the exact same couch. And I'm like, let's get it. We have to get it. And she's like, okay, well, how much do you want to bid? I said, $300, whatever it takes. I don't care. I want the couch. We got it for $1.
What?
And it's the same exact couch that we had. So it's sitting over at my parents' house. And that's the closest thing to my home that I can get to right now. So I went over there and watched the games sitting on my couch in my dad's garage. Nice. And so that's where I was on Sunday. And I'm just sitting there leaning, and then I got up and kind of did a couple things and sat on the other side. And that's when San Francisco started playing well. And I was like, oh shit, I got to move back.
Yeah.
Apparently it didn't work.
Yeah, as a
Yeah,
Lions
no.
fan, we call that the implosion, and we expect it mid-third quarter. So
Yeah, yeah. I actually have been a Lions fan for a long time. I started liking him when Barry Sanders was playing for him,
oh, Barry, yeah.
and so they've always had a place in my heart because I just seeing them do so well, I was excited. I was hoping that they'd finish it off, but
Well, I tell you,
unfortunately, I sat on the other side of the couch and ruined the whole
it's
thing.
your fault,
It's
Scott.
your
It's your
fault.
fault.
All right.
I was actually in Detroit on Sunday, and we left Detroit to come back to Northern Michigan, and we were on the road for about an hour, and we were just too tired from the weekend's events, so we stopped and got a hotel, and I finally got to sit down as the third quarter was starting, and that's when all hell broke loose and they
So it wasn't
collapsed.
actually me; it was you. You started watching them, and
Exactly. I probably should have just kept driving, and they would have won like
Okay.
48-7.
there
But
you go.
Okay.
So it wasn't the fact that I actually switched to the other side of the couch; it was more you started watching them.
yeah, but the fact that I saw your post, I had to give you some grief over that. So
I think the whole community can just blame the two of you, and we'll call it a day.
yeah, we lost
I'll-
Scruffy.
Like I
this
said,
isn't
I'll
his
take my
thing.
medicine. I'll take my medicine. I switched over to the other side of the couch. It's my fault.
So back to Star Wars.
Sure.
You're a collector, obviously,
Yes.
and you've rebuilt your collection. Do you have a focus in that collection, or is it just, hey, vintage Star Wars, bring it on?
Pretty much vintage Star Wars. It's stuff that I like. So, I guess one of the best stories I have is I was down at ICC and I'm sitting there at my booth and this guy walks by with a tote, a little red wagon full of stuff. Sorry. And I look down and there's the laser rifle from Star Wars, the Stormtrooper rifle with, he had it in the package. And I'm like, whoa, hang on. What do you want for that? And he's like, $850. And I'm like, and he was down at the corner of the aisle from me. So I'm with him all day going, 700. No. 750. No. I'm like, dude, just make me feel like I got a deal.
740, 849.
He's like 840. I'm like, gun. So I've always loved that gun, and I bought it right there. And then I got a Han pistol to go with it. And there's so many things that I enjoy. I just, the packaging, because I'm being a graphic designer, I'm big on the packaging. I like how a lot of that stuff looks. And, I did the Star Wars Rebels run. I'm actually looking at it right here in front of me I think there's 52 figures, the newer ones that's got the Stormtrooper in the background. I love that packaging. So I just went full force and got them all.
There's 52.
Somewhere around there, I think. I can count them for you if you want me to.
Are you missing some, Scruff?
No, I'm deciding that I'm not going to go down that path.
I got to tell you, the fact that everybody said that the glue isn't that great on those, I can tell you that is the honest to God truth. Anytime one of these, I bump my shelf, one of them falls off, it pops right off.
Separates.
So I need to get a couple new ones to replace a couple that have broke off.
I've got a couple figures like that they're just hanging by a thread.
It doesn't take much.
When the Return of the Jedi was re-released in the theaters, they gave that giveaway figure for that commemorative.
Yeah,
I have one of those, and I'm worried one of these days it's just going to fall off.
that's a funny story too. I was walking into the theater with my buddy to go see that, and this guy standing here, he's like, "Here," and he pulls it out of the box. I got the last one.
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
I was like, "Oh, that's cool.
Oh, wow.
What the heck is this? This is awesome."
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I tell you, man, Star Wars is fun. It just is. It's
Absolutely. I love the packaging too. I've kind of started getting into buying whatever packaging or whatever I could find that had that vintage art. We talked to Kim Simmons a couple years ago, and I just loved talking to him. I got his autograph on one of those posters that he did. They had this the Hoth scene, or the Hoth background, the snow background, the desert background.
Yeah.
I had him autograph that, and I just loved talking to him. It was very fascinating to hear those stories about those.
Now that you're bringing up Kim, I got to show you this. Let me watch my thumb here. So I did a project with him about a year ago, and he wanted me to do Obi-Wan Kenobi. So I did Kim Simmons as Obi-Wan
Oh,
Kenobi,
that's awesome.
Oh, that
and he
is
signed it
awesome.
for me.
That is awesome.
And then I got this one, Jim Schwerigen. He signed that one for me.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
it's been kind of fun going around and getting them signed. And then there's the Thundercat by Larry Kinney.
Ah,
Oh, that's cool too. Oh,
Yeah.
you got some awesome stuff there.
Yeah.
It's been fun.
Kim Simmons, that man
I'm
has
sorry?
stories until the end of time. He's just full of stories.
Oh,
Yeah, I could
He
have
is.
stood
I
there and
love
talked to him
talking
for
to him.
hours. Yeah.
yeah, being in Cincinnati, I see him at a lot of the cons, and
Do ya?
get a chance to talk to him every now and again.
Yeah,
And
we
I'm
had
like-
the opportunity. Oh, go ahead.
I'm like, Kim, that Imperial Shuttle front picture, did you have to stand all of those up, or was that pre-Photoshop? Or he's like, no, I did all that. I was like,
Oh man.
Oh, that's awesome.
I could sit there and talk shop with Kim for days, just days. I just love that old
Yeah.
stuff and the old school, the ways and all that stuff. It's just great.
We at ICC last year, Scruffy and I were lucky enough to have Jim Swearingen on our show.
Yeah.
There, and it was almost impossible to speak because the man's a legend.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
Well, he
he's
built our
responsible for our childhood. Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
he designed our childhood. I mean,
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I probably freaked him out with some of the weird things I said about keeping stuff, but
Right.
you know, you're lucky that you're in the same orbit with those people.
yeah, he lives right down the street from my office.
Really.
And
Oh,
yeah,
that's cool.
and
Oh,
it was funny. I was talking to him. I was like, man, I could only imagine your collection. He goes, I don't have anything. I was like, really? He goes, no, I don't have anything. That kind of shocked me.
wow.
Yeah, that shocks me too.
So that was
Wow.
kind of weird for me. But he's a good dude. I like Jim a lot. Very,
Yeah,
very-
he was very pleasant.
Yeah, he was
he's
was
very
awesome
nice
to talk
guy.
to.
And I don't know. There's a guy named Ryan Rogers. I don't know if you know him, but down at ICC,
I know the name
you know the
for
name.
some reason. Yeah, for some reason I know the name.
He got it set up to where they had, I think it was 2022 when they had all the Kenner people there.
No.
Mhm.
He got it set up to where they were all holding my cutouts, and I got a picture with all of them.
No. Oh, how cool is that?
That's awesome.
It was so cool.
Yeah,
it
in
was so
22
cool.
they had that little room that was all Kenner people.
Right.
Oh, I walked in there and
And-
I was instantly a little kid again. Like, oh,
Yeah.
this is so cool.
Ryan came out and he's like, "Can I borrow a few of these?" I'm like, "Absolutely, dude. Yeah, take them. Do whatever you need with them." And he's like, "Can you come in?" And I'm like, "Yeah, okay."
Ah, sure.
And they're all there and they're all holding my stuff, and he took the picture, and I was like, "Okay, if this isn't the pinnacle of life, I don't know." what it
Wow.
is."
Nope, that's it. All right, you've been there, you've done it.
Right.
What more?
It was
What more
so
could you ask
cool.
for?
It was so cool.
How many
Just
years
wanted
have
to-
you gone to ICCC?
I think this will be in October. Will be my 4th trip.
Okay.
Yeah. So I started in 2021, I believe.
21. Yeah.
Yeah, and I do well down there. I enjoy it very much.
It's,
I really
it's
do.
we rave about it. It's our favorite show.
Yeah.
It really is.
DB and I have both been to celebrations. I've been to Motor City Comic Con a number of times. They're cool, but it's impossible to get around, and it's impossible to get anything. The lines are atrocious. It's hurry up and wait the whole time you're there. Yeah, I love ICC because it's smaller yet big.
And again, it's one of
Intimate.
those things. Everybody loves the same thing. It's not like
Yep.
It's not like a Comic-Con where you're getting a mixture of, DC,
Marvel.
Star Trek. Everybody's got their own little thing. Everybody is there for Star Wars, and
Yeah.
it just binds the galaxy together.
Well,
Excellent.
let me ask this question, because you
Sure.
do your product in more than just Star Wars. You do a lot of
Oh, yeah.
Joes. You
Oh,
do Turtles, because actually I bought a Michelangelo from you in 22
Yeah.
because my wife is all about the Turtles, so
Oh, that's
I
right.
brought one home for her. Do you go to a lot of non-Star Wars cons, or
I typically try to stick to toy shows because that's kind of my wheelhouse. I've done Comic Cons in the past, and just not for me. You know, those there's a lot of stuff there that's, I don't want to call it store bought, but you know, it's just they seem to like the CHOTS fees, and I do okay. You know, I do okay, but it's the toy shows like the Great Ohio Toy Show. I love doing that one too.
So, you did what's called Joe Fest not too long ago.
I did Joe Fest for the first time last year.
And what'd you think about the Joe Fest?
I had a good time. It was fun. It was fun.
That was my other favorite toy line from a kid, G.I. Joe. Dusty was my first G.I. Joe figure.
I have everybody asking me to do a Dusty. I've not done a Dusty yet.
Yes, you got to do a Dusty.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
So yeah, I would love to hit that Joe Fest once at least. Check it out.
It's kind of like ICC, but Joe's. That's the best way I can describe it. And it's a bunch of people, and they all love Joe's. And you know, I'm a Star Wars guy. I don't know a ton about Joe's, so I've got 3 or 4 people that I go to, and I'm like, okay, how does this guy look? Does he look okay? Do I need to change anything? Yeah, because I don't know Joe's, you know. So, so I've got a lot of people that help me with that stuff too. Same with the turtles. I don't know anything about turtles, but you know, doing this stuff, it's just it's crazy because it's never ending. I've got a list as long as you could freaking look at as people saying, "Hey, can you do this? Hey, can you do that?" And I'm like, you know, I'm one guy.
So
one guy.
I'm doing the designing, the printing, the shipping. I run the whole damn thing.
So the request, I was going to make a special request later. Maybe I'll put that on the back burner if you got a list of my own long. So.
No, it's not a big deal. I try to accommodate everybody. I can't get to them all. I'm trying.
Sure.
So, you know, I still have not finished the original Star Wars run. I still got about 10 more of those to do, and I want to get those done by ICC so I can come to ICC with one of every figure as far as cutouts and magnets. I want to have at least one of everybody so everybody can be like, you have this? Well, yeah, it's right here.
So yeah, you will be at the ICC in the fall, correct?
Yes, sir. I already got my table. I got my hotel room. I will be there.
Because I know that's the same weekend as the Great Ohio Toy Show.
Yeah.
And I know there's a lot of conflict of who's going to go where.
Yeah, my buddy, the guy Rob who runs it, texts me. He's like, you know, if you don't show up, you're going to lose your spot. And I'm like, I know. I'll get it taken care of because that's going to be a huge weekend for me. You know, because I do well at Xenia every year, and I do well down at Nashville. So it's a big weekend for me. I can't miss both. So
are you doing Xenia in March?
Yes. Yeah, I do every Xenia show.
Scruffy, we got a road trip that.
Have you guys not been?
We've not been. We were going to go last fall. Oh my gosh!
Yeah, you guys got to go. I mean, there's 7 huge buildings of just toys everywhere. Everything that you can imagine.
Somebody hit the air. Yes, it must be at an airport layover. Brown Leader says, "Hey guys, thanks for coming on, Scott. Much appreciated. I'll see you guys soon." So somebody is on their way home, apparently.
Sorry, my daughter just sent me a text and said, "You want me to work the Ohio Toy Show for you?"
I think that's a yes.
Yeah,
so,
my wife already said she would do it. So.
Oh, nice. Excellent.
Yeah, awesome. She went to Kane with me one time and she had a good time. So, and I keep trying to get her to go with me to other shows, but she works mostly on the weekends, so it's usually just me, and it's a chance to get out of the camper. So I'm like, I'm going, bye.
You know, that this is a personal question, but I know Scruffy and Brown Leader and myself, we're all blessed with wives who are supportive of our addiction. I'm assuming your wife is supportive.
As much as she can be.
Understood.
She's like, it's Christmas every day for you. You're constantly getting boxes in the mail.
Oh. I've heard that once. Yeah. But the way I heard it was, okay, you Christmas it up from September till about February, and then you take a break and you start birthdaying it up somewhere around end of April to about June or July, and then you take a little break until November again, October. Yeah,
I usually take a break at Christmas. That's when I'm like, okay, we're on a buying freeze. We have to get through the holidays, you know.
So I'm sorry, Scruffy. I'm kind of taking this over from you, but
absolutely.
Scott, let's see some of your products. Show us what you got.
Well, I got some pictures here. We'll kind of run through those. So those are your magnets. I see you do a broad line. What lines do you cover?
That's a small table. So I do Joe's, I do Mario, so like Donkey Kong and stuff like that. And there's some Motus there, some Transformers, $6 Million Man. I started doing Star Wars, and I'm like, you know what? I need to kind of broaden my horizons a little bit and get some more people involved. And so I find cool stuff that I like, that I want to do. And so like the Hitchhiking Ghost there, I just saw that one and I was like, you know what? Those would be kind of cool to do. And Halloween and Christmas are probably my two biggest times of the year, because I do a lot of Christmas stuff. So you see little Wicket there with his candy cane.
Yep.
And that was, I think that was a Cincinnati show, I believe, because we've got the monsters there too. And then up in that top row, you'll see Bigfoot from $6 Million Man sitting next to.
Oh, yes.
What? Yeah, you just said $6 Million Man, and that was going to be my request, and I had not seen Bigfoot there before. But man, I got to get one of those.
And then when Grogu made his rounds down there in the bottom left-hand corner, I saw that image in my head of him force grabbing candy, and you don't see it, but he's got that little plastic pumpkin in his other
behind
hand.
Slimer.
Yeah, and he's dressed up as Chewbacca. Some people don't catch that, but I saw that vision in my head. I'm like, I got to do this one.
And that's awesome.
Well, so yeah, that takes care of my request. You have Slimer.
Yes,
I may have to have that.
And Stay Puft. So those May the 4th signs are something that I just did on a whim too, and those are good sellers. I enjoy doing those.
Oh, I have to have one of those too when next time I see you.
Yeah, and of course the Indiana Jones, and yeah, I mean I hit a little bit of everything, but Star Wars has always been my core.
Oh, you have a Chopper, War Criminal Chopper.
Oh yeah,
Yes.
And then I do some heroes like the Kenner Superpower Collection. I've done some of those like Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman.
Is that a Shogun Warrior in the middle?
I know that's the Taiwan Boba Fett. Oh no, up at the top, that's the I can't remember his name. He's from the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Oh, okay.
He's the Megazord. That's who he is.
All right.
Okay, yes, okay.
Yeah. So when I did the Rangers, I was like, well, I got to do Megazord too.
Right.
So
got to be done, absolutely. And then here are my two favorites. I love the black hole.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You'd be surprised how many people don't. It surprises me how many people don't know it, and it surprises me how many people do. Like what's that guy from? Oh, Vincent. Vincent was one of my favorites.
Vincent was one of my favorites. I love Vincent and I love Bob.
Yeah, I got an old Bob too. I don't know if you grabbed a picture of that, but
I did not. Oh, I gotta have.
I do old Bob and the Century Guard and Star.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And then here is the one that cracks me up because I had these figures. I still have Oscar the Grouch somewhere.
Yeah. Again, those were so much fun to do, just because. I mean, how do you not love Cookie Monster? How do you not love?
Yeah, who doesn't love Cookie Monster?
And I found a guy on Etsy so they didn't make an Elmo. Like with the original run, they didn't make the Elmo. Nor did they make a Kermit. Well, this guy made an Elmo and a Kermit. And I actually texted him. I'm like, look, I really want to use these as a base. Do you mind? He's like, no, go do it. It's awesome. I still need to send him a set of magnets. I promised him a set of magnets, and I need to send them. I haven't done it.
Oh, that's awesome.
But yeah, I mean, if there's something like when Mando came out, and they did the black. I can't remember the name. The Black Guards or the Dark Troopers.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I want to do a Dark Trooper. So I'm looking online for something to base it off of. And I found one. And it was Babaluga Studios. And he's like, hey, you could have at least said you were going to do that. I was like, man, I am so sorry. I had no idea that was you. And, I apologized to the end of the earth. And I sent him one. And he's like, that's okay. And so now I make it a point if I'm going to do something from somebody else's line, I always ask first, just to make sure that they know that I'm doing it and they're okay. And they're usually like, well, just send me one. And I'm like, okay.
Well, good price to pay, right?
Yeah. I just, and while I got you, if you guys want to see this,
Absolutely.
I just finished these today and they aren't supposed to hit the web until Tuesday. Let me pull them up here. Hang on.
Oh, yes. We have an exclusive here.
You do.
We like exclusives.
Absolutely.
So I have done 3 what I call series of GI Joe magnets. So I've got 3 of them. They run about 8. There's about 8 of them in each run, and so this is series 4 that will hit the web on Tuesday. I hope I can do this right. Can you guys see that?
Oh, that's cool. I always love that Crimson Guard figure. Oh, the Televiper down there. Is that the Televiper on the end?
That's
on
the Night Viper, maybe.
On the other end.
This one?
Nope, other end.
This one? This one.
Nope, other side.
That I believe that one.
Yeah, that one. There you go.
That's the first Viper, from what I understand.
Okay.
Again, I'm not a Joe guy, so I don't know. But that's series 4 there. That's coming out on Tuesday.
Nice.
So I thought that'd be kind of fun to share.
That's
for you guys.
cool. That's awesome.
I've been teasing it all day today, but I just finished them today, so I was very excited.
What else you got there for us to see?
That's like an awesome day at work.
Yeah, well, I can tote you around my little thing here and show you some of my stuff. So this is kind of the vintage set. So the Power of the Force orange carded stormtroopers or sand troopers. I love that figure. I love the package. I love the way it looks on that. So I collect those. And my speeder bike is sealed. And I just got the rocket firing Boba Fett a couple of weeks ago. And so down here on this shelf, this is my Red Bar R5.
Oh, I've always wanted one of those. I'm just not chasing it, though.
He's graded 85, so I jumped all over that one.
Wow.
And there's my Taiwan Boba Fett. And do you know Sean and Ryan Limkel, the guys who run the toy museum here in Cincinnati?
Yes.
I know the name. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, there's a story. I got to tell you the story.
Okay.
So my mom calls me one day and says, I found a box of your junk in the attic.
Box of your junk in the
Box
attic.
of my junk. And I'm like, okay. And so I'm like, what's in there? What is it? And she's like, oh, there seems to be a ship and a clock and something else. And I'm like, well, just take a picture of it and send it to me. So she sends me this picture of a clock that I remember having. I don't know where I got it from. So anyway, it's like the plastic L shape that you slide a piece of paper up into. And it was Junior Achievement. They only made them in Cincinnati, apparently. And somebody drilled a hole, put in a clock mechanism, and it was The Empire Strikes Back. Well, apparently that was worth something. I didn't know. And the Sean and Ryan actually contacted me and said, hey, I really want that. And I'm like, okay, well, I want an R2 and a C-3PO in droid packaging. Those are like my 2 grails that I've always wanted and I never got. So he wound up trading me the C-3PO for the clock, and then I had to buy the R2, but I didn't care. At that point, I was like, I'm getting them both. Screw it.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, those guys have more stuff than I can imagine.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It is if you can make the trip down here and just walk through it, it's amazing. My parents went through it and they were like, holy crap.
It is on our list one of these days.
He's got a couple other pieces. My mom found a couple Polaroids of my grandmother at work, and she donated them to him.
Oh, how cool.
I'm getting it framed, and it's been a lot of fun. So I got those guys from him, and then just some loose figures down here. This Gamorrean guard I found for, I think, $75. And look how clear that is, if you can see
Oh,
it.
wow.
Yeah.
Some of those are really yellow.
75?
He's really, really clear. Yeah.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah. And there's my first 12 on the stand, and a Ramba back there, and Bausch back there. And then there's my pop-up R2 graded 70 that I got from Europe.
That's awesome.
And Creature Cantina. So there's a story behind that one too, if you want to hear it.
Absolutely.
So 2 years ago was down at ICC, and my buddy was supposed to go with me, and he called last minute and said, I can't go. I'm like, okay. So I put out on the ICC, I'm like, hey, if anybody wants to share a room, let me know. And my wife's like, are you crazy? You're going to share a room with somebody you don't know? I'm like, they're Star Wars people. It's not going to be a problem.
We're nerds.
So, right. And so Hugh McMillan, a guy from New York, got a hold of me, and he's like, I'll do it. And I was like, okay, that's great. So we met down there, and he was a great guy. And he walked up, because I was telling him the story of the Creature Cantina. I never had one when I was a kid. It was something I always wanted. And he bought it for me. He's like, here. I'm like, what the hell is that? So that's the story of the Creature Cantina. I mean, the box is beautiful. The inside is pretty much unused. And I just love it.
Oh, that's awesome.
So this is, I don't know if you can see. Do you see the Boba Fett?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, that's my baby. That was one of the toys I wanted to have done. So I called 3D Panda.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, look, I want to do a screen accurate Boba Fett from the holiday special. And we designed it together, and they just did a bang up job. And I wound up doing the packaging for it. And I sold, we did, I think 42 of them. And that's number one off the line.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Oh, that's cool.
He's cool. I love him. So this down here, you guys might like this one. I don't know if you can see. Do you see the Viper?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Love the
Right
Viper.
here. I found somebody online who did 3 of those, and it's gorgeous. It is absolutely stunning how well he did with this. And that's one of my favorite pieces. And I've got Andor in there driving the Viper.
Oh, that's cool.
That is way cool.
So over here on this shelf,
Oh, all
got
right.
my-
There's more.
I've got my Legacy AT-AT that I found last week on Facebook for $25.
What?
Yeah. And then I jumped
Yeah,
online. I
Wow.
was missing the speeder bike and a couple of the side guns. And of course, Star Wars guys to the rescue. I had him within a week, and he's complete.
I remember seeing those posts of the people sending you those things.
Yeah.
I didn't
Awesome.
realize you got the shell there for $25. Dang.
Yeah. And it's like
Amazing.
not even played with. It's crazy how nice of condition it's in. And so here's my Rebels. So I've got all the Rebels here, if you can see them.
Yes, I can see him.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
And there's my little guy R5. I got me a little R5 army going on there.
Oh, you do. Look at that.
That's
Little
awesome.
R5 army. And down here, I've got the Starline figures, the 2 Starline figures from Disney before it shut down.
Yep.
Now this piece is pretty cool.
Is that a Celebration
Right.
3 Vader?
Yes, it is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We got a few of those.
I got a few of those.
I had a few of those. I gave 2 of them away. I still have 1 or 2 left.
There's my loose Boba Fett with the card, graded 85.
That's cool.
Wow.
That's nice. And then here's my 12-inch. I've got IG-88 and Han. They're just in storage. And there's my boxed A-Wing complete.
Oh wow.
Oh, a boxed A-Wing. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I came across that. I bought one. Actually, I don't know if you guys know Tom Fagan.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so he opened his store up in Wisconsin.
Mm-hmm.
And he called me and said, hey, I need some signage. I was like, okay. I said, well, I need an A-wing, and he had one.
Oh
So-
man.
Nice.
I printed the signage for a store, put them in the back of my van, drove up to, I think, right on the Illinois-Ohio border, and met him. And so he brought me a loose one with the box. So then a couple weeks later, I was looking for the inserts for the box, the cardboard, and Mike Havens had put one online for $1,000. And so I wound up buying Mike Havens to get the complete, and then resold the one I got from Tom.
Oh wow.
So that's how that came about. But,
Oh, that's awesome.
and then my 12-inch, there was a post on Facebook, and I texted the guy, and I'm like, you know, I like what he had a Walker and a Cloud City twin pod car. And I'm like, I'd like to have them both. And he's like, oh, I got a ton of it. And I'm like, okay. So he was over in Indiana. It was about a 2-hour drive. I said, I'll drive up on Sunday and see what you got. And he had 2 tables full of just stuff. And it was crazy. And I looked at him, I said, dude, this is how much I have. I'll give you that for everything. He's like, you okay with that? I'm like, yeah. And so I wound up with a van full of Star Wars toys from this guy. And there was a box. It was like a little suitcase. So I got it home and started going through everything. I opened up the suitcase, and there were all the accessories to the 12-inch dolls.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Both of IG-88's guns, all the guns, some of the dolls,
All
were
the
there, but not
grenades?
all of them. Yeah, all the grenades,
Oh.
everything.
Oh,
And so I started buying shells, and that's how I got my 12-inch line together.
Wow. I only have the
That's
original 4. So man, oh man.
Well, I had most of these from my grandmother, and of course lost them. But you know, so it's kind of I'm building back plus adding to it. And my wife walked into my office and she's like, "You've got a problem." I'm like,
Well,
no, I don't have a problem. I have no
I
problems
tell you-
at all.
I got no
Scott,
problem.
we're getting some comments from some friends here.
Oh,
From
sure.
the Rural Galaxy podcast, some friends of ours, and they say they love the Viper,
Yeah,
and they're jealous because you keep showing us all this cool stuff.
yeah. That Viper is. I mean, that really is one of.
Yeah,
my,
that Viper's awesome.
I mean, the paint job he did on it is incredible. That will never leave my collection.
So
Yeah, that is awesome.
Really cool.
Scott, for this being a second time around collecting stuff and having lost your original collection,
Just
would
be a
you
quick
recommend serious collectors insuring their collections?
That's a big pet peeve of mine. So if you have homeowners, and I'm going to go into my little spiel here. If you have
Bring
homeowners insurance, so the way that homeowners insurance worked, as far as I understand it, they give you a set value for your house. Okay, your house is worth this much. So then they take half of that, and that's what your interior is worth. So you have to build up to that number in order to get that money back. And then they take like 20% off for, I forget the word they call it. But anyway, they don't cover everything. You can't just go, okay, well, I have this. So most of them won't even cover collections. So if you've got a collection that's worth some money, you really need to get it insured by a toy collector's insurance policy. Because
It's a separate policy.
it would be a separate policy.
Okay.
Some say get a rider. You don't want a rider. You need a separate policy for your collection. And, you know, like I told you guys earlier, you put it off, I put it off. The week before the fire, I told my wife, I said, you know what, we really need to get this stuff looked at. And, you know, a week later it was gone. So, you know, if you've got anything that's worth anything of value, if you've got a collection, get it insured. Make the call your insurance, ask them about it. There are several options for collector's insurance online. Just look it up and just make a phone call. That's all it takes. And then if you've got a huge collection, you'll probably have to have somebody come in and give you a value on it before it'll get insured. But, you know, some of these guys have millions of dollars in this stuff. And, you know, it'll be gone in a second. You never know. You know, it's like a time, you know, it's never going to happen to you until it happens to you.
For sure.
You know,
You heard it here, folks. Get your
Yep.
collections insured.
Yes, just make the phone call to your insurance. Some of them might have collector's insurance. I don't know. Just it's worth a phone call to find out. But don't get in my boat to where you don't get your full entire amount back.
Well,
Because
I
you don't
guarantee
have the
I don't have millions of dollars, but I would be very distraught if I were to lose my collection.
Right. As everybody would be. Really.
Everybody would be, but both of us, me and DB, some of our collection is our childhood toys.
Right.
A good chunk of my collection in here, of my vintage collection, I should say, is from my childhood.
Yep.
As was mine. Yeah.
Yep.
My brother and I had, you know, we always got two of everything. And it was funny because I had a Darth Vader doll that I found at the house, and I just had it sitting there. I never really looked at it. Then one day I picked it up and I was looking at it, and I turned it over and it had my brother's initials on the bottom of it. And you know, I was like, that's really cool.
That's awesome.
So yeah, my brother passed in 2001. So, you know, like I said, it wasn't really the monetary value for me.
Mm-hmm.
It was just the more of the memories and, you know, what that stuff stood for me. And, you know, knowing it came from my grandmother and my mom called me, I don't know, a couple months ago and said, hey, we've got a Kenner thermometer. I'm like, what? She's like, yeah, we've got a Kenner thermometer down in the basement that we got from grandma. And apparently she got it for being there for 20, 25 years. It was one of those gifts that you
wow.
Oh,
and
okay.
it's a little brown thing. It's in like little angle. It's got a little loop on the top of it, and it has the Kenner K at the bottom, but it's made out of wood. And it has a thermometer in the middle of it that tells you the temperature of the room. She's like, do you want that? And I was like, yeah, I do.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that is way cool.
Because it was grandma's, you know.
Yep.
That gives me something back in the collection that she had that was a part of her. So I'm very excited to get that once we get everything done at the house. Hopefully.
Yeah. How much longer on the house?
I'm not really for sure. We had some issues with our first contractor, and
Geez.
that cost us a little bit of money. So then we've got our second contractor, who's a friend of mine, and he's doing the best he can to get us in the house with what we have left. So, but he's doing a great job. And
Awesome.
we're hoping to be get the foam in next week and then start drywalling. So I'm really hoping maybe end of April, 1st of May.
So you're not that far out yet.
No.
I
But
mean,
being in a camper
it feels
for
like
2
it feels
years,
like an
it is-
eternity. I'm sure.
Being in a camper for 2 years, you are that far out.
Yeah.
But like I said, we're doing the best we can with it. It's a bad situation. There's nothing we can do about it. You know, it kind of is what it is. So we just bang along every day.
You gotta make lemonade out of it somehow, right?
Yeah, you do. So I spend my time doing the stuff that I do and just having a good time doing it. Yeah,
Well, your
I can
stuff
tell-
is awesome.
Man, this is just the tip of the iceberg. I've got so much more in storage. And I have a graded 90 Man.
Oh, that's awesome.
Loose graded 90. That thing is awesome. So one of my buddies, his name's Paul Wharton. He lives here in Cincinnati, and he's pretty much helped me build my collection back because he keeps selling me everything he has. He's like, well, look at this, because I got the carded the Boba Fett and the card from him, and he's like, what do you think of this? I'm like, dude, that's awesome. That's the closest thing I'll ever have to having a carded Boba Fett, because I can't, that's $20,000 price tag
Easily.
But I got to tell you that last week I was down at Louisville for the G.I. Joe. It's called the Kentuckiana G.I. Joe show down in Louisville. So Ryan Lemical was down there, and he had a couple vinyl cape Jawas in his case. And I'm like, Ryan, can I take a picture of these? And he's like, no, hang on. I'm like, why can't I just take a picture of them? I'm going to send them to a buddy of mine who's looking for one. He's like, no. He comes over and he opens up the case and pulls out his carded vinyl cape Jawa, hands it to me and says, hold that like this. And he's like, now take this vinyl cape Jawa and hold it like this. And then he had one in a bag and he says, here, open your mouth. And So I got a picture online of me holding 3 vinyl Cape Jawas.
Oh man.
It was just funny. It was
Oh,
funny.
that's awesome. I've only held one vinyl Cape Jawa
Oh,
ever.
I'm like, he handed me the card and I'm like, what are you doing? I don't want to drop this.
Right?
Yeah, I would have been a little nervous holding on to that.
Yeah, it was like I told him, I said I'd run, but I don't think I could get to the end of the aisle without running out of breath.
I'm just not in shape for that.
Wow.
Right. So it's fun, man. I have such a good time doing what I'm doing. So the last 3 years have just been so much fun for me. And, like I said, it just humbles me that people enjoy the stuff that I do. It really does.
Well, you put some awesome product out. We always check it out. And
I
yeah,
gotta show one of the best things in my
Oh,
collection
yes,
right
there you
there. Okay.
yes.
And Scott, I don't know if you remember this, but
Absolutely, I do. I handed it to you and said, when you
Yeah.
speak of me, speak kindly.
Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly what you said, dude.
I kept lurking around your table and you finally gifted it to me. And I'm like, are you kidding me?
Well, he kept lurking. Dude, it's flat. We'll figure out a way to make it work, okay?
It'll slide in somewhere.
You
That's
think-
the beautiful thing about it.
That was easier to get in the car than the Ewok Village I bought. So
Yeah, I was-
right there.
I will say that trip home, that car was a little packed. I don't think we could have put much more into that car.
The last senior show I did, I bought a Java sail barge.
wow.
I bought it from a buddy of mine named Jordan down in Nashville, and he was nice enough to let me do payments on it. So I finally paid him off, and he's like, "Well, I'll be up at Xenia. I'll bring it with me." I had no idea how big that thing was.
Oh.
It's huge.
It is.
It is huge. Yes.
And I was lucky to get it home. I'm like, okay, it fits. Sweet. Because I go up there with all kinds of stuff. But yeah, and then he's got. I purchased the 2012 San Diego Comic-Con exclusive with the Jar Jar and Carbonite.
Oh, I wanted one of those so bad.
He had one, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll take it. And I get that when I go to Xenia in March. I'm excited.
Oh, that's awesome. I wanted one of those so bad. I missed the opportunity to get one, and I kind of regret it ever since. But I'm sure I'll live my life without it because I'm not spending that price on it.
Yeah, it was not cheap. It was
No,
not cheap.
they're not.
but-
No, they are not cheap at all.
And I remember not getting it when it first came out, and I was like, oh. And so when they came out with the Razor Crest, I told my wife, because it was in November, I said, if you guys want to get me something, that would be nice. And so they decided to do it and get online, and it was already over.
Oh.
Yeah, they went fast.
And so I think I got I got mine for $600 when it first came out, and I pulled it out and displayed it, and then I think a week later was the fire.
Oh.
So that went bye too.
Oh my word!
I'll have to send you guys
Oh.
some pictures of the collection. It was gorgeous. I loved it.
Oh, I'm so sorry, bro.
Oh, dude, don't be
That's-
sorry. Don't be sorry.
That's tough. That's tough.
There's nothing to be sorry about, man. I had it. It was mine, and now it's gone, and nobody else has it. And that, for some
Yeah,
reason,
I
gives me something.
I admire that outlook. That's awesome because it would be a tough pill to swallow for sure.
Yeah, I mean, we got in our cars that night of the fire, and we honestly had the clothes on our backs, and that was all we had.
Oh. Yeah.
And our insurance, God love them, I'll plug them. It's Kentucky Farm Bureau. They had money in my wife's account the next day for us to go get clothes and everything, and they have been just beyond fantastic for us.
That's
They
awesome.
came out, looked at the house. They said, okay, it's gone. We'll have you checked by Wednesday. And
Wow.
yeah, I mean, it wasn't even, well, we need to do this. We need to do that. We don't think you get this, it was nothing. They were just like, here. And they were fantastic. They're fantastic.
That's awesome. You hear so many horror stories of
You really do.
fights with insurance companies.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, they were fantastic. And like I said, everybody in the Star Wars community started reaching out, and just, it was phenomenal. I mean, just the love and the support that came from everybody was just outstanding. I'm trying to think of the site. Smuggler's Den actually did an auction right
Yes.
after fire
Oh yeah.
that allowed us to get some money together to put down on the Baker Crest, which is the camper we live in. And so that was part of the fun of it, is, showing everybody the Baker Crest and kind of, letting everybody know what's going on, what's happening. And, people just coming back going, hey, how's the house coming along? That kind of stuff. I mean, people are just awesome. They really are. They're fantastic, especially in the Star Wars community.
Yeah, this community is great.
Yeah, for sure.
And everybody's like, what can we do? What can we do? I'm like, well, when the house is done, you can all come paint.
Yeah.
Ah,
So my wife's like, yeah, when we get the house back, we're going to have a big blowout party. I said, you're damn right we are.
Yeah.
And so I'll invite everybody and just like, you can make it, come. It's going to be a blast.
oh, looking forward to that, man. I can't wait for you to get back into a house.
Yeah.
Camper's got to be rough for sure.
It's not been the fun of it. Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, you're closer to your family, and it's just the space, So like I've got a little TV and a little couch off to the side, and that's where I just got a Blu-ray player last week to put in my despecialized edition Star Wars movies, so now I can watch those, and that kind of helped. And
I'm sure.
so you just do what you do. There's nothing you can do about it. But definitely, guys, insure your collections. Make sure they are insured. It's one phone call to make, and that's it.
I will definitely be looking into that real fast
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Look at all that stuff behind him. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and you don't have that insured?
No, and that's not even a fraction of it.
Wow. Well, that's usually not for everybody.
Yeah, no. I would love. Yeah, no. That's not even a fraction.
Yeah.
There's a considerable more in the room around me. Quite a bit more.
Scott, I got to ask about something completely unrelated to your house fire.
Go right ahead.
A few weeks ago, you did your first online live auction.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was a hoot. I was trying to pay attention, and I was out with the family shopping. So I'm trying to look and bid in between things. And
I remember hearing about your shopping trip.
Yeah, every time I wanted to get something, somebody would snipe me at the last minute.
Every time. Yeah.
Every time. Are you going to do another one? That's my question.
I will eventually. I don't know when, but I'll probably do it on a more prominent site to where I can get a little bit more traffic. I mean, it was a lot of fun, but I think at the top end we had 19 people watching, and we were on for almost 2 hours, and it was a blast. I had my daughter here; she was manning the computer, and I'm over there switching things out, and it was fun. But yeah, I'll definitely do another one. I just don't know when, because I've got to get some stock.
Yeah, I think I was at work, wasn't I?
Yeah, that was a Friday night or a Saturday night. You were.
It was the Saturday after New Year's, because I kind of just did it on a whim.
Okay, yeah, I was at work. He was shopping.
Yeah, I joined Whatnot, and I haven't done anything yet. And just FYI, if you join Whatnot and you haven't done a show yet, they get all over your case about that. Why aren't you doing a show? Why aren't you doing it? Because, they take 5 or 10%, I think. I'm not really sure.
Ouch.
And so I'm like, well, you know what? I've got a site. I'll just do it on mine. And so we wound up doing it on there, and it was a lot of fun. It really was.
It was a hoot.
It was. I've not done anything like that before, and I was learning just as fast as I was doing it, and it was a good time. It took me a while because there were so many people that bought stuff. It took me a while to get it all out, but I finally did. And Fred's like, "Where's my stuff?" I'm like, "Dude, I'm working on it." Because I got my 9 to 5, and then, I try to get this stuff put in, and then I got shows, and so my time gets kind of constrained.
Oh yeah, sure.
And Isabella Baker said, "I had tons of fun helping out."
Yeah, that's my daughter.
I'm hoping you know this person.
Yeah. she actually worked that day, and I'm like, hey, what are you doing Saturday night? And she's like, I don't know why. I'm like, I really need somebody to help me with this online auction. I said, I'll take you and go get seafood. And she's like, done. So there's a seafood place up the road from us that we really, really like. And so I treated her to that after the auction was over.
Oh, that's awesome.
You both did great. It was a lot of fun. And who cares if it's not perfect? It's about having fun and moving product into people's hands who want it. So.
Right. And like I said, that was one of the ones where I figured out that everything was reversed. So.
Oh, yeah, it was. I remember that.
And I couldn't figure out how to change it. So I still don't know. Obviously, I'm still in reverse here. But
well, I tell you, if you ever get to it, I see you do have the Bigfoot from $6 Million Man. But if you ever do any more $6 Million Man, I'll slap my money on the table for it.
Yeah, so, I've got to eventually do an Oscar. Somebody's been asking for an Oscar,
or even just that logo that Kenner used to put on their packaging was pretty cool.
That's the kind of stuff I kind of tend to stay away from. Any kind of really, really copyrighted stuff.
Could be proprietary, yeah.
Yeah, because I know. I mean, my buddy's an attorney, and I know I'm gray. I'm gray lining it to a point, and everything I do, I draw. So he's like, "Well, that's kind of your art. It's kind of the way you get it out." Blah 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 blah. And so I don't know. I just have fun. That's all I'm doing. I'm not. I don't think I'm hurting anybody, and I'm just trying to bring some fun to the world. But yeah, that's why I draw everything I do. I don't put it out there because I just don't want to. I don't know. I don't want to take that chance.
Yeah, it's not worth getting Disney on your backside.
And plus, it's really everybody's got pictures of everybody in action and whatever. But my daughter made the point. She's like, "Well, Dad, you're kind of serving a purpose. You're making people remember their childhood, and then you're giving them the toy that did that." And I'm like, nobody really has produced just pictures of just the toys.
Yeah.
And that's the fun stuff for me, because that's what I remember. I remember playing with the toys. And everybody, a lot of people just walk past my booth and I'm like, I just love what you do. And, that right to my heart, man. I just, it makes me feel good that I'm making people happy. People walk past my booth and they're, it's now become like it's a must-see booth. Everybody comes to my booth just to see what I have. And I just love it. I just love it. I love the fact that people love this stuff as much as I do. And I'll keep doing it until my hands break. Yeah. I can't do it anymore.
You do great work. Your stuff is so much fun.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
I think we stopped there at least twice a day. All 3 days we were there.
Yeah. It's. I don't know. I just love it. Like I said, I believe I'm actually here doing exactly what I'm supposed to do, and the fact that I get to bring smiles to people, memories, and things like that, and they get to relive their childhood through a little something that I've done. It makes my heart happy. It gets me through all the shit that we've got going on that's not associated with it.
That's one of the things we hear commonly is when we ask what does Star Wars mean to you? And for everybody, it's childhood and it's escape from adulthood, basically.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, because adulting sucks sometimes.
Not all the time. I saw the other day, sometimes. It says my age says I'm 52, but my toys say I'm 12 or something like that.
Yes.
And that's the way I feel.
Oh my!
Yes.
I'm like, I'm going to be.
What does this room say about me right now?
I don't dare pan around my room. You don't.
It says that we have something we can have a conversation about.
Well, usually when we do our podcast, we dedicate about 10 to 15 minutes to what we call Collection Corner, and we talk about the new things that we got. But without Brown Leader here, I mean, we're 75 minutes into Collection Corner right now. This is great.
What's my daughter says I have 2 packages at the house. I'm pretty sure those are R5s. I'm pretty sure.
Awesome.
Yeah. So there was a guy in Denver that needed a couple of signs for a shop that he's getting ready to open. And he had a couple R5s in his picture. I'm like, oh, what are you doing with those? What do you want for those? And he's like, well, I need a couple of signs. I'm like, done.
Right. Oh,
done.
You've got a skill that you can trade on. That's so awesome.
Right.
Yeah,
And
my only skill is sarcasm, and that doesn't seem to trade well.
now you got a show, don't you?
And a show. We got a show and sarcasm.
Now, if only we had viewers, it would be great. Now we're networked with some really good other podcasts out there, and we boost each other up. And I don't know if we'll be able to trade this, but
Hey.
Hey.
I love just talking about Star Wars, all this stuff. I just love talking about it. It's so much fun, and it gives me the platform to try to get people like John there to get insurance for all of his toys.
Yeah,
So-
well, both of us here, we need to seriously make a phone call.
Yeah.
It's always been on my list of things to do, amongst a million and one other things in life that keeps popping up.
John, it
There's
was on
always
my list
something-
at one point in time too.
And yes, this kind of pulled it off the back burner, as there's always something more that seems more pressing at that moment.
Yeah. I mean, you
But,
forget. You think about it and you forget. I did that. I specifically remember telling my wife, I said, we really need to call them and get this stuff taken care of, get it insured. And, it'll never happen to you until it happens to you. That's what I tell everybody. You think it doesn't happen, and it does. I mean, we're rolling along having a good time in life, and then boom, all of a sudden it was gone within 30 minutes. Because our house was built in 1848. So it's almost 200 years old, but it was made out of wood. We had brick on the outside, but everything inside was 150-year-old wood. And it was nice and dried out. And as soon as it got the flame, boom, it was gone. And the firefighters said it was the most intense heat that they had ever been involved with, because our house is built with 3 layers of brick. And so it just, once it got a fire in there, it was just like a kiln. I mean, the stuff didn't burn. It just incinerated because it was so hot. And, it was just one of those things, man. You never expect it to happen. Like I said, we were at the store and my son called and he's crying. I'm like, what's going on? And he's like, everything's gone. Everything's gone. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, the house is on fire. I said, did you call 911? Yes. Okay, I'll call you back. So I called my wife, who was inside the store, and she never answers her phone, ever. And she answered. I'm like, put it down, get to the house is on fire. Because we were getting ready to have my daughter's birthday, the birthday party that night. And just,
There, blow your house out.
Right. Yeah, that's what I told her. And so we have animals, and my wife has 2 goats. She had 2 goats at that point in time, which goats just the most worthless animals on the face of the earth.
But they're so darn cute.
That's exactly what my wife says, but they serve no purpose. No purpose.
They do serve a purpose. They're cute. That's the purpose. That's their purpose, to be cute.
No.
All right, I'm not winning this argument.
Not cute. They're annoying as hell. And so we're sitting there watching the fire, and I'm like, all this, 3 dogs are gone, but I still have goats. I kid you not, the first goat. I mean, not Star Wars related, but the first goat I had, I swear he could fly, because I kept putting fences in, and he just jumped right over them, every one of them. And then I had a 6-foot fence in there once. I just finished it. We were getting in the car to go, and that sucker came around from the side of the house. He just jumped right over the fence. I'm like, I hate you guys. I hate them. So now we have pigs too. And if you don't have pigs, don't get pigs, especially if you like your property, because all they do is dig. We have a field that they stay in that's probably an acre and a quarter. They have destroyed almost 75% of that. From just digging whatever they dig. And I told the wife, I said, I'm gonna have to get somebody out here to regrade this. She goes, oh no, I'll get a rake.
Okay.
A rake and an acre just. And And I love her, I do, but my God, that made me laugh so hard. Just like, I'll just go out there with a rake.
Let's go through the rake. No big deal. I got this.
Wow.
I got this.
Yeah, so that's part of it too. We still have goats and pigs and everything else, and that stuff makes her happy, so I'm fine with it. But I don't
Hey,
want
as long as she's happy, right?
right.
Absolutely.
You can either be right or happy.
I'll take happy every day of the week.
Yes.
Every day of the week. Every day of the week. But my wife, she's incredible. She lets me do all this stuff, and never really questions too much about it. And she knows I've got a bunch of stuff. She doesn't know what all I have, but she knows I got a bunch of stuff because she sees it come in the mail every day. But she lets me, go to the conventions and do all this stuff. And she's fantastic. She really is. She's been great. We've been married for, it'll be 23 years in November, I think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, it's
Awesome.
It's been fun.
That's awesome.
Never a dull moment. Never a dull moment for sure.
No, never a dull moment.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on, Scott. We're
Oh,
going
gosh, I
on.
know.
We're going on about an hour and a half or so.
Yeah.
So we appreciate you being on the show. All guests on our show become an honorary member of Brown Squadron. So we've got a designation and a call sign for you, DB.
You are Brown 37. You're the 37th member of the Brown Squadron. And your call sign is Suvan Tan. Do you know who Suvan Tan is?
I do not.
I had to look this up on Wikipedia, actually.
Okay, so now I don't feel as bad.
He was a Rhodian merchant who operated an abandoned Republic space station around the planet Yavin during the time of the Jedi Civil War.
Okay.
He's a merchant, and I'm going to dig up this quote, and this is from one of the novels or one of the games. But one of his quotes is, "I have so many ideas that people haven't seemed to come up with yet. It's really quite astonishing." And when I read that quote, I thought, you are so creative with these 2D cutouts. So you are our merchant, Suvan Tan. So next time you're on the show, we're going to call you Brown 37 Suvan Tan.
That sounds fantastic. I love it. I love it.
So tell us more about your site and what you sell and where people can contact you.
So I am pretty much all over Facebook, and you can see my website there. It's my2dheroes.com. So I have a My 2D Heroes Facebook page, but most of the stuff that I do goes on my personal page, which is at Cool Scotty B, I believe. But if you just type in at Scott Baker, it'll pop up. You'll see my little logo there with me wearing the helmet that my wife got me. So the way that came up, just last quick one. So my headshot on my Facebook page was me with that helmet on. And as soon as I started doing this, and I'm like, I've got to incorporate that somehow. So I drew that, and then of course I have the two of them side by side, Indiana Jones and Boba Fett. So that's where that came from.
So you actually drew that. That's awesome.
Yeah. And
That's awesome.
That's supposed to be me.
It looks like you. It works.
Yeah, I buy it.
But really, guys, I can't thank you guys enough for having me on. It's really been enjoyable. I've had a good time.
No, we love having you on.
Absolutely. We'll have you back again for sure.
Please do, for sure. And I'll see you guys in October.
Absolutely.
Oh yes, we already got the tickets. We've already got
Beautiful.
the room.
Beautiful.
We've already got time off.
Maybe we'll go have an adult beverage or something when you guys are there.
Absolutely, adult beverage. We plan on getting down there a day early.
I should be there on Thursday.
A Thursday?
Yeah.
We are going to head over to the game terminal. It's just
okay.
It's just packed with vintage arcade games. Everything from our childhood is in there, man. Gyrus, Star Wars, Pac-Man, every obscure game that you can think of.
Sinistar.
I actually had a stand-up Donkey Kong machine for the longest time, and
I
got rid of it about 5 years ago. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't have anywhere to put it. So
So if you head down a day early, like on a Wednesday, that's where I plan on being from like noon to probably 8 or 9 at night. I'm going to stay there the whole day. I'm ordering pizza. I'm not going anywhere.
I've not been there. I'll have to go.
It's a
yes.
hoot.
You got to get down there. It's a riot.
So is it still a quarter, or are they charging 50 cents to $1?
Absolutely free.
They were
What?
I didn't pay anything to play those games. Now the pinball and some of the newer stuff they did charge for, but that vintage stuff,
Have you
I
guys
think
seen?
I spent a total of $5 there.
Have you guys seen the Star Wars Pod, the game that you sit in and it's all like around you?
Oh yes.
We went to Dave and Buster's.
There we go.
Hey,
My
welcome
daughter
back.
and I went to Dave and Buster's, and it was there. And I got in and I started doing it. I'm like, no. I just couldn't deal with it, man. As much as I wanted to fly an X-wing, just my mind and everything just couldn't put it together.
Too
man.
much, huh?
It's a little overwhelming for sure.
Yeah. And I don't know when that happened. Probably about 30 years old. I was like, heights, no. Roller coasters, no.
Yeah, no.
Part of getting old.
Sadly.
I don't know.
Bro.
I was just down your way in Cincinnati this summer, and I hadn't been to Kings Island for about 30 years. And I had to take my 12-year-old there. And some of those coasters I looked up and said, no, not doing it anymore.
Did you ride the Beast?
Oh, the Beast is one of my favorites of all
Yeah,
time.
that is one of the best roller coasters you will ever ride.
Yeah.
Nope.
There is no doubt.
Nope.
You got to ride it at least once.
No.
It is such a experience.
Yeah,
really is.
literally the last time I rode that was 1991, and then I rode it this past summer. So.
Mine was probably about 2002 was probably the last time I rode it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, that's not happening, bro.
Yeah.
Not happening, bro.
Well, I tell you what, I'm excited for ICCC to be back at the Sheraton, where everybody's under one roof and everybody hangs out all night long. And
I'm excited too. It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah, October is too far away. I'm dying already.
Yeah, everybody's
I'm
like,
excited.
well, he doesn't have it in April. I'm like, no, October is great because then I could sell Christmas stuff.
You're right. Yeah.
No, there you go.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, yeah.
That's a good plan.
Yeah. Hopefully it works. We'll see.
I hope so.
But anyway.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us today. I really, really enjoyed having you on, man. Look forward to seeing you soon, man.
Yeah, sounds great, man. If you guys can make it down to Xenia, I definitely recommend it.
We'll look into that.
Yeah, you should. It's a good show. It's one day, and you wouldn't believe the amount of stuff they have there. It's
DB
crazy.
and I have talked about it a few times.
Crazy. It's the biggest toy show I've ever seen. I mean, they have everything. So hopefully you guys get there. I'll be there. If not, I'll see you guys in October.
When is that again? March?
March 30th, I think. Somewhere around there. I know it's in March. Hang on, I'll tell you.
All right. Well,
I want to plug them as much as I can, but
yeah, that's only about a 7-hour drive for us. We can do that.
yes, it is March 30th. So if you guys can make it down, it'd be awesome. You guys.
That's Easter weekend. That's got to be tough. That's why I wanted to do the fall one. Shoot.
Really? Easter?
Easter's March 31.
Yeah, I do all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, I'll do it. And my wife's like, that's your niece's birthday. I'm like, I always leap before I look,
Yeah.
I do the
Especially
same
when it comes
thing.
to stuff like that. I'm like, hey,
I do the same thing.
And they were like, well, you can't go down there in October. That's a Xenia toy show. I'm like, dang, I'll have to figure it out.
I do the same thing too. Before I even answer anymore, I was like, well, I got to check with my wife. Really? You got to ask your wife permission? No, I got to ask my wife what's going on because she's the only one who remembers anything because I don't.
She got the family calendar. That's exactly.
She keeps our lives in check.
I'm like, what do we got going on this weekend? I don't know. Are you working? Yeah. Okay, I'm going to a toy show. So I won't keep you guys any longer, man. I appreciate it.
It's been great.
Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. So, Abra, thanks for listening to Hyperspace Heroes. If you have anything that you'd like us to talk about or have any questions, or to tell Brown Leader he's no longer allowed to take time off, you can reach us at brownsquadron@gmail.com. or DM us through any of our social sites. So,
Where'd he
Scott,
go? You didn't say where he went.
well,
We're going to let him say, but let's just say it's every Star Wars nerd's dream.
He went to Disney, didn't he?
We'll let him tell you next week.
Oh, I love it down there. We've got passes. I love it. I go down there and I sit in front of the Millennium Falcon and I'm just like, I cannot believe this is here. Every time.
he's
And that's all I do.
been
I just
sending
love it.
pictures,
I just love
and
it.
it's just killing us. Oh, Isabella said one day I'll get him on Smuggler's Run in
Yeah,
Disney
Dad doesn't
World.
do Smuggler's Run. No,
Oh.
Dad does not do Smuggler's Run.
I need to know what Smuggler's Run is.
That's the
That's
Falcon
the-
one where you fly.
That's the
isn't it?
Falcon one where, you sit in the cockpit and somebody's the gunner and somebody's the too much 3D animation and jumping all over the place for me. I'm like, no.
Oh,
But the Rise of the Resistance
I'm dying here.
is just a great ride. It's a great ride. And the first time we rode it, we were stuck in. They've got a hangar with all the stormtroopers. I'm sure you guys have seen pictures.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The ride broke down as we were in there, and we were in there for 2 hours. I was like a kid in a candy store.
Hey, please don't fix this.
Yeah, I'm like, no, it's good. I'm fine. It's all great. We're doing it.
Oh man.
Oh,
So yeah, definitely, it's a mecca for any Star Wars fan, man. You guys got to go. It is so much fun.
we're figuring out how to make this work for maybe next year.
Oh, awesome! You guys
I've already talked to my wife about it, and she's like, "You have to do this. This has got to be done."
Yeah,
So
my
I'm
wife
on
was
board.
Like that when the Star Cruiser thing came out, she goes, "Are you going to do that?" I'm like, "No, it's not like I spend $5,000 for 2 days." I said, "Are you crazy?"
Oh, my wife was trying to figure out a way to get me to do that.
Yeah, mine
She
was.
was
too.
ready for me to go. She was ready.
like,
Like,
no.
You need to do this. You need to do this.
I'm like,
I'm
it's
like-
me in a hotel for 2 days, or all of us at Disney for a week. I mean, there's no choice. There's
Yeah.
no choice.
You
Yeah,
gotta take everybody.
it was a tough call for me too.
Yeah. Well, get there.
All right, well,
Thanks, guys.
one of these days we will get there for sure. So anyway, thanks for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it, man. And this is Brown 2 signing off, and you have been listening to Hyperspace Heroes.
That's no moon.
We were so close.
Something like that.
We were so close.